Hello, this is Alan. I am starting this series to be something to allow people to learn about how to make low-carb cocktails. I will, throughout this series, delve into different ways to pick the right mixers, be conscious of the amount of sugar that might be in some of the alcohols that you might need to have for different cocktails, what alternatives you can use when there is an alternative, and I'll also touch on things like today in this introduction, what things you might want to have in your bar. The other things that I expect to touch on is I'll probably do some reviews of some of the alcohols that I've tried and or will try in the future, and try to give you an idea of which ones are better, which ones are worth spending the money on, and trying to, as I always do, try to keep the costs as low as possible. Having said that, the main topic of today is first an introduction, and again, as I said, my name is Alan. I'll probably mention it a time or two through other episodes, but Alan is not my actual name, it's my middle name. So we want to start today by talking about, if you're going to have a bar, or if you do have a bar, things that you should have if you're making cocktails. So the first thing that I want to discuss is shakers. You can make cocktails by just putting them in a glass, stirring them up, and some cocktails do call for just stirring the cocktail. But there is something that happens when you shake a cocktail. It agitates the spirits and adds air in, and it causes the taste to change a little bit. So many cocktails you won't get the right effect if you don't shake them when they call for being shaken. So what type of shakers are there, and which ones should you use? This is a very common type. This is a Cobbler Shaker. It's the first one that I had bought, and I don't really like it. The first problem is that the holes in the top, it's nice that it's all in one, but the holes in top are pretty big, so if you're trying to strain anything out, it's not going to strain very well. But it does work okay. The big problem I've heard a lot of people say about these is that they will lock up when they're going through heating and cooling cycles. They tend to, because the bottom and the top are different sizes, different masses, expand and contract at different rates, and you can get a locking on these that some people say that once it locks that they can't get it apart. I've not had that problem, but after I used this for a while and changed to the Boston Shaker, I really haven't used this. So if you have this, that's fine. It's really more of a preference. I really do like the Boston Shaker. This is what a lot of bartenders will use, and you want to get one that's weighted and is made well. So in both cases, I went online and looked to see what a good brand was and read reviews. But the Boston Shaker works very well. Usually you put your ice in the larger half, put your mixture in the smaller half. So with the ice already in there, then you dump that, seal it, shake it, open the seal, and then you can pour. So the next thing you need when you're pouring is that you have to have some way to strain it. On the Cobbler Shaker, the strainer is built in, but not on the Boston Shaker. You use a Hawthorne strainer, and this came as a kit with the bar stool and the muddler, but as well as with the Cobbler Shaker that came with things in a set as well. But once you finish shaking, and you shake to where, usually you shake to where you get frost on the outside of the shaker, that tells you that it's cold. Then you strain it into your glass that you're going to be using, usually with fresh ice, or what I do often is what's called a dirty dump, and that's where you just dump the ice that's in here. But that's, you know, if you're just doing something quick and you don't want to waste a lot of ice. So if you've got like mint leaves and other things that you want to strain out, then you can't do that. Then you have to just strain it and into the glass. The other kind of strainer is this julep strainer, and with that you put it in the it's supposed to be done in the glass, and then you pour through the strainer. I never use this. I've used it maybe once or twice, but it's the Hawthorne strainer is the most commonly used thing. Sometimes a cocktail calls to fine strains. So these fine strainers, and this is just a kitchen strainer, is what you would use for that. You place that on the glass, or hold it and dump into the glass. So that's it for the shakers and the strainers. The next thing that you want to look at as having is muddlers. Now, muddlers are used, for instance, for mint or herbs or fruits or things that it calls to be muddled before, usually muddled and shaken, or muddled and left in the glass. But you would put your items in here. Often you'd put some simple syrup, and then you put the muddler in and try to roll the muddler. Don't bang it, because what you want to do, especially with mint leaves or basil, is you want to bruise the leaf so that it releases the oils and the flavors, but you don't want to really bang on it. Some people will take a leaf and smack it against their hand, and that's how they would do that. Usually when they're putting those on the top of the drink as a garnish. The next thing, definitely don't have to have that, but if you're entertaining and you want to have ice handy, is a decent ice bucket. And there's a scoop that comes with this, and I don't have it with the ice bucket right now, but this ice bucket is one that you don't need to spend a lot of money on them, because I found this at Aldi for less than $5. So again, trying to spend the least amount possible, but get decent equipment. This ice bucket, I've only used it a few times, but it's definitely useful if you are entertaining. That way the ice is out and ready for people, and you want to have something that's got a thick enough shell so that it holds the coldness in to keep the ice from just melting. Next, which actually maybe I should have talked about sooner, but jiggers. Now, these jiggers are just standard. I think this is called Japanese jigger, but these have, I think, they're 1 ounce on one side and 2 ounces on the other, and then they should have markings. This one doesn't, but usually they have markings for 1/4 ounce and 1/2 ounce, etc. Inside, or someplace where you can see that. Now, because depending on how much you spend, you'll get a better jigger, or you can use a shot glass. but I forgot to bring it out, but there is a very small OXO measuring cup, which only goes up to 2 ounces, and it's a little plastic thing. I use that almost exclusively when I'm measuring cocktails because it's got a nice 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce, 1.5, 2 ounce measurements. It also has teaspoons on the other side. I don't normally use the teaspoon measurements in that, but you can. But the gradations on that OXO plastic mixing cup is really good, and you'll see me use that as I make cocktails because I almost exclusively use that. It's just so much easier to use than a jigger, in my opinion. The other measuring utensil you'll probably need is, at times you'll need tablespoons or teaspoons or partial teaspoons, and that depends on what you're measuring and what amounts you need of each of those things. Sometimes you will need to put a dash of something in. Now, things like Angostura bitters, that you just put the top off, and it is made for putting dashes of Angostura in. This is a bottle. I bought a couple of these, and I put some absinthe in here because a lot of times you want to just have a dash of absinthe. The other thing is, and I don't have it, but you can get a mister that allow you to mist the inside of a glass, because often for absinthe the cocktails will call to just coat the inside of the glass, and a mister does that very well. That is something that you might also want. So next thing we'll talk about briefly is mixing spoons. A mixing spoon is used usually when you're making a cocktail in a glass, and also you want to have a good one, a good length, well balanced. This one I haven't tried it yet, but I know of other people who will use this end to crack ice if it's sturdy enough, but you don't want to break this, so other people, depending on the spoon you have, will break the ice with the spoon end. So that's something that people will do. I've not had the need to do that, but typically, for this, you try to keep the bowl of the spoon on the inside of the glass as you're stirring, and that the twirls along this edge, along this shaft, helps that happen. So you can move that around and stir your drink. The next thing I want to talk about is an ice crusher. And if you have a refrigerator that crushes ice, that's great. If you don't, then this mallet and Lewis bag is something that I picked up. And this works really well. You just put your ice in there, close it up, and crush the ice with the mallet, and it works very, very well. The next thing we'll talk about is where you store your alcohol. Now, if you have a bar and bar shelves, then you put your alcohol on your bar shelves. I don't have a bar, that's why I've got this set up in the kitchen. I had also bought this mat, which is actually for drying dishes on. There's a silicone mat that just looked for one that looked like it would work well, and this does. It helps if you're spilling things or wanting to keep your counter clean. Usually I just make a drink and clean up, and that's it. But if I'm going to do a lot of things, then this mat is something I'll bring out to keep any spillage off of the counter. If you don't have a bar, don't have shelves behind your bar to display your alcohol, you might put it in a cupboard, but then you're filling up a cupboard. So my wife and I had found a storage cabinet, and I'll break away here and I'll show you that. And it's fairly good size, so it does hold a lot. So we'll break away and we'll look at that. So as I'd stated before, the fact that I don't have an actual bar in the house, we'd found this storage cabinet from a second-hand office supply store, and it was not too expensive, and it actually works pretty well. Have a lot of the mixers and bitters and things like that on the top. Then bourbons, gin, some I have, as you see in the front there, some of the infusions that I've done in the past, and a short shelf with some miscellaneous materials, rum, vodka, tequila, and then the bottom shelf is just some overflow with some seltzers and things like that, a few empty bottles. But this seems to work pretty well, and along with that, also have a small refrigerator that I keep the things that I have to refrigerate, and that's what I use instead of an actual bar. And that's something that works pretty well. Just sits here in the family room. Probably not the best place for it, but that's what we have, and that's what I use. I grabbed my OXO measuring cup. Again, this is very nice. It's got gradients for the teaspoons on one side and ounces on the other. Up to 2 ounces or up to 4 tablespoons or teaspoons. Sorry, tablespoons. TBSP is tablespoons. Wouldn't want to make that mistake. So anyway, that is something that works very well. The difference in gradients on here helps. If you get a good jigger, it'll have gradients listed on it also. But this is what I happen to use a lot. But the other thing is barware. Now you'll want to have something to serve your drinks in if you're having a get together with friends or family. Otherwise, you can just have a cup that you use or a glass that you use, but one of the things that you might want to have is a Glencairn glass. This is a glass that most people use for tasting different types of alcohol. A lot of bourbon guys will use these for doing the different tests of bourbons. Pour a little bit in there, let it breathe a little bit, and then the way that it's shaped helps so that you can get the odors and do the testing of the taste testing of those items. That is not a required thing, but something for like a small drink, a Manhattan or something. This works well. This is something that I'd gotten from my daughter for Christmas gift one year. But then I did go and at Target they had some really nice, very heavy glasses. So there's small and larger glass. Depending on the type of drink you're making, you'll use one size or the other, but these are very good. And again, I picked those up at Target. They were also not very expensive, but they're pretty good quality. Haven't dropped them. I don't intend to drop them to see if they'll shatter, but they're such heavy glass that they probably would stand up to being dropped a time or two. Finally, you may want to have a tiki glass. And so these typically, there's a lot fancier ones than this, but they are usually kind of pricey. So I bought something that I found on sale. I didn't spend very much on this, but when you're making a tiki drink, often just to be able to showcase it better, that this is something you may want to have. So those are the things that I have for my bar. And again, I kind of just keep this in storage and don't leave it out all the time. But the thing that you might do is at least get a shaker, something to measure with. This OXO small measuring cup is a great thing. Or you might want Jiggers, where you're able to measure half ounce, at least a quarter ounce, half ounce, full ounce, ounce and a half, and 2 ounces. Those are the measurements you usually want to have. European measurements are in milliliters, so understand the conversion between ounces and milliliters. And you can just use kitchen things for the strainers and things. And for the teaspoons and tablespoons, and just be careful if you're trying to dash things like absinthe or something into your drink, that you don't get too much, because it'll overpower your drink. So you can get by with just a minimum amount of these items, but these are just the things that I have, and the things that you might want to consider purchasing. So that's the introductory video. We'll do a lot more and different things going forward. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm asking you to like, subscribe, share this video. I hope to be able to build this channel so that I can get the word out to more people about how they'll be able to make things when they're on a low-carb diet, to still be able to enjoy cocktails periodically, but not have high sugar spikes, especially for people like myself who are diabetic, or who, like myself, also need to lose some weight. Sugar or carbs in general are not your friend. So this is a way, by following some of the things that I'll be showing, that you can decrease the amount of carbs in your cocktails and still enjoy a good cocktail. So again, thank you, and join me for each of the upcoming episodes, and like, subscribe, share these with your friends, get the word out, and I'll see you back next time.